Notice when you go to the Muslim cemetery and you're making dua for your Muslim brothers and sisters who inshallah died on Tawheed, recognizing that there's one creator and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger. And when you're there making dua for them, notice also one thing, that every single one of them is facing the qibla. Facing the qibla, as it is our tradition to bury the person facing the qibla. So while you're there and you're seeing hundreds of graves, hundreds of people who are buried there, know that every single one of them is facing the same qibla you face in your prayer 5 times a day. And what does that tell you? May Allah not make us face the qibla only in our graves and not in our lives. Can you imagine for us if we are neglecting our prayer, neglecting the fard, the obligatory prayer of praying 5 times a day, that perhaps we will not taste facing the qibla until we die. May that not be the case for us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who pray. Because essentially, why were we created? Why were we here to begin with? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Mu'minun, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that those who are successful are the believers, those who believe in Allah. And then the first description is those who are in khushu' in their prayer. They're coming in this certain awe and reverence and humility in their prayer. And the question is, how can you have this characteristic of being humble and open in your prayer if you're not praying? So that means, how can you have this quality of being a true believer without that prayer? And if you go down into the surah shortly after this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show us the intricate way He perfected us. How Allah created us from a single clot, and the clock formed into this, and then it formed into that, and then it became bones, and it became this. And subhanAllah, that verse is so extremely intricate. But then suddenly the next verse, it says, ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ لَمَيِّتُونَ. After this, you will all die. And you go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah doesn't show us how He perfected us in such an intricate, beautiful, perfect way to tell us that you're here forever. Allah didn't create us so perfectly to show us that we're going to be here forever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is creating us perfectly and telling us, don't focus on this life that you were created for just for a temporary reason. You're here temporarily. Don't focus on the perfection here, because that sudden death might come. That sudden death might come, and if we were not ones who were connected to Him, if we were not ones who faced the qibla day in and day out 5 times a day, then are we waiting for our death to face the qibla? That is the question. And not only do we face the qibla in our prayers in life, but in every single action can be attached to Him. Right? The way you cook, why you cook, why you work, the way you work, what you're working in, the way you're raising your children. Everything you're doing in life can be attached to that qibla if we are conscious. And obviously in our prayer, physically. So all this is a reminder to remind ourselves that when you're looking at this grave and you're visiting your Muslim brothers in the cemetery and you're making dua for them, they are facing the qibla. How about you? Are you facing the qibla now? May Allah make us from those who face the qibla here before our return to Him. Ameen.